What's up, guys? For today's watch review, we're going to be talking about the G-Shock GST-S110D. This version is the 1ADR version. I don't know what that means. All I know is that it's the full stainless steel band. There are other versions with different colorations and different style bands, but this one is the G-Steel full steel version. Before we get into the review, let's do a quick wrist check. I am still rocking my Invicta Pro Diver. I wanted to find out for myself whether this is a good watch or not. There's a lot of love for Invicta, but there's even more hate for Invicta, and I have no idea why. So I bought one of these just to try it out. I think one more week of wear, and then I will put out my thoughts and opinions on next week's review. So far it's looking good. We'll see how it handles this next week. But going back to the G-Shock, let's start off with our first talking point, which is 360 view and dimensions and weight. Before we do that, let me go ahead and put on my new white gloves. This is off of a recommendation on one of my commenters. They said that it would look more professional if I wore white gloves, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I agree. I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to see my nasty, calloused, ashy hands. So here we go. Let's start off with a 360. I'll zoom in for you. There's the front. And then the case back is your standard G-Shock case back. I wish at this price point, which we will discuss later, I wish that there was something more back there, but it's fine like this too. I guess simple and clean. Alright, and then of course, as always, I will have the dimensions on the screen for you right here. And also, let me go ahead and whip out my tactical scale and we can verify the weight here. Because this is not a light watch, guys. I was pleasantly surprised at how hefty it was. So, let's go here. We're looking at 181 grams. And then in ounces, that is 6, so almost 6.25 ounces. Not ridiculously heavy, but definitely not light by any means. Next talking point is price. So MSRP is $380 on the streets, specifically Amazon. After taxes, I believe I paid $250. I need to do a fact check. I will, of course, have it on the screen for you what I actually paid out the door after taxes. Not a budget watch, but definitely nowhere near as expensive as the MTG or MRG series of G-Shocks. Next talking point is functions. So starting off with the main screen, this is a solar powered watch, which is always a great thing. You have your digital time, second, and date or day of the week right there. I want to say, I think if you hit the adjust button, it'll shift. Yep, so if you hit the adjust button, you can change it from a digital readout to, or digital time to the day of the week, month and day of the week. I like to keep it on digital time. Not multi-band 6 functionality, or it doesn't have multi-band 6 functionality. Kind of a bummer at this price point, but it's okay, I guess. And I want to say that you cannot have a different analog time and digital time. I'll look in the manual. If it changes, I'll add that in the description box, but I'm pretty sure that these two times are linked no matter what. Your mode button is right here, so hitting that, you've got world time, stopwatch, timer, alarm, and back to main time. Oh yeah, and another thing is if you go to world time, so you can set whatever time zone you want there, just same way you would by holding the adjust button. And to shift between your main time and whatever you have on world time, you would just hit these top two buttons right there. So right now I just shifted my analog time to UTC. So you get this cool little thing going on here. Get to watch the little motor work. I'll let it cycle through, and then I'll shift it back to LAX. Man, you think it'd be smarter that if it had to go, to 617, it would just go the other way, not all the way counter or clockwise. But so we'll shift back to LAX time. And so with the feature set and functionality, very simple, very bare bones. I appreciate that. What that means to me, at least, is there's not that much to have to figure out, and there's not that much to have to remember if I don't wear this watch for a long time. Because if you're like me and you have a lot of watches in your collection, sometimes a super complicated watch is hard to remember how to use. Kind of like, if you played Final Fantasy and you haven't touched it in a couple months, and you go back to your save file and you're like, holy crap, I don't remember where I am, I don't remember what store I'm on. It's kind of the same thing. So no issues there with the G-Shock as far as functionality goes. Next talking point is illumination. So I will go ahead and cue in illumination footage in a dark room right now. And as you can see, the illumination is almost too bright, like to the point where it takes negative points for that. Like, it is super cool. It's freaking beautiful. You've got that white bright LED and you can use it almost like a flashlight, but that doesn't translate well to when you are trying to retain night vision. If you are in the operational field, you're in the military and it's in the dark and you're trying to tell the time, and then you hit this button, you hit the light button, and then your retinas just get burnt out. So I would say for people who are, in the casual industry, you don't really have to worry about missions or operational whatever the heck you got to deal with, and this is a cool feature. But for law enforcement, military, what have you, I would say don't use this if you have to work at dark. Next talking point is visibility. So it's no secret that G-Shock's weaknesses are its negative display. This isn't the worst I've ever seen, but it's also not the best. The GMW B5000s are definitely the best as far as negative displays go in the G-Shock line. This is, I would say, middle ground. What you're seeing right now is a pretty accurate representation of what you should expect, holding this in your hand out during the day. So I would say some angles it's a little bit difficult to see, but all in all, I would say it's perfectly acceptable. If you just quickly pull your wrist up and try to look at the time, you'll be able to see the digital readout. And also with the analog hands, it's also great to read time that way too. No issues there, especially with the chromed out indices. It's very easy to spot where those hands are falling on. Next talking point is button and crown placement. So let us take this opportunity to show you what it looks like on the wrist. Let's go ahead and remove the Invicta. I would say all in all, button placement is great. No issues. You've got these side, I'm going to call these bumpers right here. They protrude out just enough to give a good protection on these buttons, so they're never going to accidentally be depressed. They don't really get in the way of any kind of wrist flexion and or extension, and hitting the buttons is not an issue. Very easy to press, very easy to operate. God, look at that. You can tell this is not a small watch. Alright, next talking point is band quality and comfort. Let me go ahead and put on my gloves real quick again. Band quality is fantastic. It is not your standard cheap folded steel. These links are solid pieces of steel. At least I think they are. They feel like it and they look like it. So great job there. Another great thing is they are extremely easy to adjust. I do all of my watch band adjustments. I refuse to go to a jeweler because I feel like I'm just throwing away my money. And you should do the same thing. Go on Amazon, buy a cheap set of watch repair tools. It'll cost you all of $30, and then you will save so much money doing your own watch adjustments. As long as you're careful and you take your time. But very easy to adjust. Took me all of 1 minute to do, and as far as comfort goes, I have no complaints there. Next talking point and last talking point is my overall thoughts and should you buy it. So overall thoughts are I am extremely impressed. What can I say? I really took a long time to get one of these watches because this watch has been out in the market for years and years and years. And the reason why I didn't like it was it didn't look the quality that it looks like in real life, if you get what I'm saying. Like looking at the pictures, all I could see was that this bottom half was plastic and resin, so I felt like it might be one of those things where just the bezel looks nice, but then the rest of it's all plastic and cheap. I didn't want to spend that much money on something that might be just plastic and cheap. Now, getting it in hand and looking at it in real life, this is a solid piece of metal. It's like it's just a chunk of steel sitting on your wrist, and I absolutely love that. For those of you who are real sticklers for weight, this might not be your cup of tea, but for me, as far as the solidness of it, it's pretty much just like an Invicta. And if you know anything about Invictas, their watches are kind of big, loud, and obnoxious, just because they're these solid chunks of steel. It's kind of like the G-Shock equivalent of an Invicta, as far as what it's made of, if you get what I'm saying. The thing that I really like about this is it is the perfect medium between a sport watch like this and then a kind of, you got this thing that is not really a dress watch, not really a sport watch, but then this is like the next evolved version to where you get the best of both worlds. You get a dressy looking watch, but it can also be used as a outdoors rugged sports watch. So it's very comfortable in both atmospheres, and I really like that. Because I think this will look as comfortable on a suit and tie, as it will be in just jeans and a wife beater, and you're just trying to do some outdoors work. So for those of you who are looking for that all-in-one watch, this is a perfect option for you. So, some people aren't like me and they don't like to have a huge watch collection. This is really that perfect in-between watch that will satisfy many purposes. So, yeah, that's my opinion. Should you buy it? I think you should definitely consider it. It is not cheap, but it's not too super expensive. It's, I would say between $200 and $300, and the fact that it's solar powered, so it'll last you at least a decade before you need to do any kind of maintenance on it. Yeah, and really, I would say the biggest weakness is that its illumination is too good, and it's really hard to say that for a watch, but for me, being in the military, and for those of you who are in the military watching this review, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, how in very low light environments, that is not a good thing. Whether it's for, some kind of tactical situation where you don't want to get detected, or you're just in the dark and you need to be able to operate in the dark, this watch will not support that. So all in all, extremely positive review, very good watch. I'm extremely satisfied that I bought this, and I will definitely wear this for the years to come. So yeah, that's all I got to say for now. I hope that this review helps you in your next watch purchase. Thank you for watching, and tune in for my next episode. All right, bye.